My name is Ravi Rayavaram. I'm from the batch of 2003 PGP from ISB Hyderabad. It's been a long 20 years since I've graduated. I joined ITC Ltd from campus, and I continue to work with ITC Ltd. Currently, I'm the managing director of a subsidiary of ITC in Nepal called Surya Nepal Pvt Ltd. Now, a little more about myself. I am from Bangalore, and I did work for about 5 years before I joined ISB. I came from an industrial markets background. I was in sales and marketing throughout. I came from an industrial markets background, but I wanted to make a switch to the FMCG business, and that's when I joined ISB after 5 years of work. And after that, I joined the ITC FMCG business. And over the last 20 years, I've practically handled a new assignment every 2.5 years. So it's been like, for me, changing jobs every 2.5, 3 years, although it's been in one company. Over the last 20 years, I've seen and been in roles in both sales and marketing. And obviously, as I've moved on, I've also headed some businesses. So the journey right from the beginning was, for any sales and marketing person, is always on the field. So you spend a lot of time traveling, visiting consumers, talking to consumers, visiting customers, and that's how the initial periods are. And although I must say that the longer you do it, the better you become, especially in a career in sales and marketing. So in the last 20 years that I've worked with ITC, I've handled multiple roles. I've been a brand manager. I've also been a branch manager in sales. I've gone back to head the marketing for a business. I've also come back again to handle regional sales as the head of a region in the West. From then on, it's always been about handling larger responsibilities. I moved as Vice President Sales and Marketing in our apparels business. From there, moved to personal care as business head of a couple of verticals in the personal care business. Then I went on to become the CEO of our agarbatti and matches business, and currently this new role that I'm serving in, which is Managing Director of Surya Nepal. So it's been, various roles in the last 20 years that I've been in ITC, and roles spanning, sales, marketing, and leadership and strategy. Some of the defining moments, if I were to just mark in my career, because I started off working and then joined ISB, I think ISB itself was a very defining moment in my career, because it helped me make that shift from being in industrial sales to FMCG marketing. And not only that, I think some critical elements of leadership and change management was something that we picked up during our stay at ISB, which I get to implement even today. So from that perspective, ISB has been a very, very defining moment in my career. As I said, I've moved every 2.5 years. So every shift that I had made was a very defining element in my career, because there are many things that change, not just two. Despite working under one organization, every business has its own mini culture. So to get used to a culture, to understand a new business, and to be successful in that business, and to build further momentum in the business that you're in, calls for a lot of change management within. And I think that itself was a great challenge every time it happened. So every 2.5, 3 years was time to reset and unlearn, learn new things. Some 3 thoughts that I want to leave with people who are listening to me today. One, I think, is attribute that's fairly underrated, in my view. and that's humility. I think along the way, if there is one aspect that works for any leader, is this attribute of humility. It's often not talked about. There are not many organizations themselves who have humility as a value enshrined in their core values. There's only one that I can think of, which is a breakfast cereals manufacturer. So humility in an individual's life is extremely important. In my younger days, we used to listen to this shloka from Sanskrit, which said, Vidya dadati vinayam, vinayat dhyati patratam, patratvat dhanamapnoti, dhanat dharmam tatah sukham. Which means that with knowledge comes humility. And with humility, you get fame. And with fame, you earn money and the other wealths in life. And then if you're then able to donate it meaningfully and share it with people meaningfully, that's when you find true happiness. So the pivot of all the happiness in life and success in life that one can that one can achieve is actually humility. And this has been enshrined in our culture, way back, almost 5,000 years ago. So that I think we must never lose sight of. Second, do not be afraid to lose and take risks. There have been multiple situations, at least in my career, where you're at the crossroads and you've got to make decisions where there's a 50% chance of losing, sometimes even more. But it is the conviction from within which kind of guides you. And again, elders in our family say, "Na to hai hi." You always know that no is the answer. So if you want a yes, then the only thing you have to do is to try. So I think that's another important lesson. And there have been many, many instances, at least in my life, where I've known that the answer is a no, but despite knowing that, one has tried and achieved what one really wanted to. The third aspect is always work towards the success of your team. Okay, there is nothing that succeeds like success, and the true meaning of this phrase is exemplified only when you see people around you succeed. And when people around you succeed, they work for your success. And it's extremely important, therefore, to work for the success of your team. And the edifice of this is also a very important aspect of respecting each other. Both formal and informal networks, one must always respect the person who's sitting on the other side, even if that person were to be your strongest critic. So I think these are the three things I really wanted to share with all of you as my thoughts. So now coming to what motivates and drives me, I think it's a strong sense of purpose. It's very, very important for everybody to find purpose in whatever they do. Without a sense of purpose, everything around us seems quite meaningless. So with purpose, you can actually define a mission for what you're setting out to do. So for all of us, whether it is as individuals or, since I'm in sales and marketing, or whether it is to do with brands, finding that sense of purpose is very, very important. And devoid of purpose, it's all like a big meaningless walk. You will never be able to achieve much. So what are my mantras for my career success? Well, I think luckily I've grown up in an environment both at home and in a corporate setup where the emphasis is on values. So I think if you guide every step of your career, and if you guide every action of yours with a deep-rooted sense of values, whatever they may be, there is meaning to every action. and therefore, success will always follow. Like I said, earlier, there has to be a sense of purpose. On very similar lines, if one does not conduct oneself or the business in which you are involved, within a set of values, or with a well-defined value framework, if one doesn't do that, both as an individual and as a business, things will go astray. So it's always important that you define for oneself and the business what that value framework is. And if the value framework is clear, then success will definitely follow.